Hi, my name is Catherine Baxter, and I'd like to welcome you to the Cat's Meow. Today, joining me is Imogen Lamport with Bespoke Image in Melbourne, Australia. How are you today?
Good, thanks, Catherine.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you were able to join me for this interview. I'm so interested in learning more about your success, and I'd like to congratulate you on winning the AICI Award of the Year this year.
Thank you very much. It was a great honour to win the Jane Segerstrom Award. Yeah, most unexpected.
Oh, but so wonderful. I truly enjoy your work and your videos and all of that. And it inspired me also to become an image consultant. How and why did you choose this field?
So when I was growing up, I used to sew my own clothes, and when you spend hours making something, put a lot of time and effort in. Plus, I was a teenager. I was using my babysitting money, which was only like $2 an hour, to buy the fabric and the patterns to make the clothes.
Right.
When you spend all that time making something and then it looks terrible on you, you go like, I need to know why things don't work. And I remember having an experience when I was about 16. I went shopping with a friend of mine, and we were in our local department store, a bit like a Nordstrom's. And we both got the same dress, and we in the same size. We both took it into the change room and we both put it on. And it wasn't that, it was tight on one and loose on the other or anything like that. But she looked great and I looked horrendous in this dress. And I remember at the time thinking, what is it about my body that this shape doesn't work for? So that was kind of, like after having done some sewing and going, oh, these shapes work and those shapes don't, but I don't know why. It was, for me, that was my start of my quest of, well, why does it or doesn't it work? What is it about my body that means that some things work and some things don't? So that was kind of like sparked my interest. And then it was in my early 30s. I was living in the UK, and Trini and Susanna, who were the English What Not to Wear people, they were the start of that television sort of series. They came on the screen and I thought, really interesting what they do, but I can't stand the humiliation aspect. They were, that sort of kind of like putting people down and being rude about people's bodies. But I was interested in it, that they seemed to be able to figure out like why some things worked and some things didn't. And then around that same time, I met an image consultant. We got talking and she said, oh, if you've ever got, thought about becoming an image consultant because you've got a really good eye for colour. And I said, I didn't realise it was a job and that you could get training. But that was then the thing that actually instigated me to go and find the training and do some training and then start my business. Because I'd always known I wanted to be self-employed. That was something that I knew from quite young, that I much preferred to do things for myself than have a boss.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so, but I never knew what it was going to be, what I was actually going to do. So finding the image consulting, it was like my interest that was over here got realized I could turn that interest into a profession, and that was really fabulous for me.
Wow. So often when the What Not to Wear did come out, that really changed a lot of the landscape for a lot of people, because all of a sudden we became aware of what was working for us or what wasn't.
Yes.
I just thought that was really wonderful that happened for all of us, and the following for that show was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
So you say that you're also very good with colors, and I see that with what you wear and your videos and your descriptions and things in your blog. Have you found that to be one of your essential skill sets other than your training?
Yeah, look, I really did, because one of the things that happened to me too is that back in 2009, I think it was, early 2009, the person who was supplying the colour system that I'd been using stopped supplying. And so suddenly I was left without colour tools.
Yikes.
And, I am always one, is when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. That is my whole philosophy of life. And so I see every obstacle as an opportunity. And so what I did then is going, well, I'd found issues with the colour system I was using where I'd have clients who I felt like I had to fit them into a group that they didn't really fit naturally into. I had to kind of like go, oh, well, they're not quite as dark as that group, but it's the best of what I've got. I'd looked around at other colour systems, and I'd found that they were all fairly lacking. And so it was then that was an opportunity for me to create the color system that I've been going, well, I'd been seeing the gaps here and I'd been seeing the gaps there where I felt that people didn't fit in. And, you know, living in Australia, we're very, very multicultural, probably one of the most multicultural countries in the world.
Wow.
So we have, you know, lots of Southeast Asians. We have, you know, kind of Indian Asians. We have, like, so we've got everybody from Asia. We've got lots of European backgrounds. We've got the Greeks, Italians. We've got the Northern Irish. We've got the Scandinavians. You know, like we've got Nigerians. You name it. We've got people with every different kind of colouring under the sun all living here. And
they
so
weren't fitting into your palette that you had before.
Yeah, so that, you know, so it was that sort of thing going, well, some people just didn't fit. And so it was then going, well, what's missing? So it gave me the opportunity to create something new and different. So, you know, I like to, an opportunity is just, you know, or an obstacle is just an opportunity for something new, to create something. So that's what I did. So I love colour. I think colour is, it's the first thing when people say, you know, when you're looking at someone or helping someone, like for me, the first thing I ever do is look at colour. Because if the colour's not right, it doesn't matter how fabulous the style is. If the colour doesn't do anything for you, you won't look as good as you could possibly look.
Right.
And it's never going to
wonderful, but if it doesn't flourish up and support the person, the fit doesn't matter. It just didn't work from the get-go.
Yeah. So I go, colour is my starting place.
Yes. I've said to people too that if you were going to look at something at any service, I recommend that you start with color. Yeah. It will be your biggest asset and step for you. Yeah. I also I agree with you that doing your own thing is do it yourself. I'm a lifelong learner. I think I've been in school probably 52 years. Yeah. In school with education, and I just love it. I think that if there's something out there I don't know how to do, I'll go to YouTube and learn it.
Yeah.
Would you attribute that type of mentality to your success, that you are able to say whatever it is in front of you, I will succeed, I will make the lemonade?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a growth mindset is a really important attribute. And so someone who never stops learning generally has a growth mindset, because you're always open to new ideas and new ways of thinking. So I think that's absolutely, definitely something that's been an asset to me. And I say that I have learned something from every single client I've ever seen over the years. I never stop learning. I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and I'm still learning. And there'll still be something I'll learn from each client, and something where I'll go, oh, you know, and it's from looking at many, many clients that I've come up with some of my theories where I've talked, you know, I've done a lot more stuff about contrast than I think anybody else in the industry. And it's from having watched so many people in my online programs where I get to see them dressed up and I get to see photos side by side of, you know, and you go, that one's so much better. Why is that? And it's going, oh, now I can see that how much contrast is really important when we're putting together, you know, it's not just the color, it's also then how you put it together, how that relates back to your natural coloring, and how you're creating harmony with the person as a whole. So I always think, growth mindset, never stop learning, are some of the things that will make you a success, provided you also take action. You know, it's great to be a learner, but I've met plenty of people, and I've trained a few, I would say, who they don't do anything for fear that they don't know enough yet. And so one of the things to think about, of course, is that learning is great and you never stop learning, but you also have to start doing. If you're just in the learning, the taking in, and you don't actually start doing, you'll never get anywhere. So then it's actually taking some actions and doing some things. You know, like when I started, I didn't know what I know now. But I knew more after I'd done my training than before I did my training. And then every client, I, went, well, what do I learn from this person? I'd stop and think, well, what did I learn from that person? And then, so every consultation's got better. I have learned something every day of my life. And then I keep applying that. So then how can I apply this new knowledge? And how can I do something with it rather than just, feeling like I still need to know more before I can do anything?
Yes, I completely agree with that. if I waited till I knew everything about YouTube and the algorithm and all these things, I would never have started these. As soon as the classes stopped from the last program I was in October, November, I started doing the blog every day. And I said, I have no problem writing about things that I'm passionate about. Do I understand the SEO and the ORLs and all of that algorithm yet? No, but I'm going to learn as I go. I started doing these videos. Did I know how to do a thumbnail at the beginning? No, but I do now. I'm exactly like that. I will figure it out. I will learn on the fly. I will research and learn. I'm not going to wait to be perfect because that will never come.
Yeah.
And I think
look, I always say that perfection is the enemy of action. And
absolutely.
And as humans, nobody is perfect and nothing is perfect. So if you're going for perfection, you're actually trying to do something that's inhuman. So like just, you know, good enough is good enough.
Yes, I agree. So you had mentioned that every client you had learned something from, and you brought that into your perspective and said, what can I use with the information that I have in front of me? Was there any one particular client or event where you said, this is my turning point?
I don't really think so. I think it's just been an amalgamation of a lot of little things. You know, and it can be even the experience of, you know, I always remember when I did my training, we were told it doesn't really matter what you wear on the bottom half. This was my color training, because it's not reflecting onto your face. And so, you know, if some color's not so great, it doesn't matter, it's on the bottom. And then one day I was actually at my hairdresser and she had warm coloring, and she normally wore warm clothes, but this day she had this beautiful warm color top on, but her bottom was a black skirt. And as she wandered away to get the hair dye or whatever it was, I remember thinking, and this is a terrible thing, I never say these things out loud, I remember thinking, oh, you've got a wide ass. And I'd never noticed that before. And it was because she was wearing a black skirt that was unrelated to her hole. And if she'd been wearing a color that was related to it, I would never have noticed. But because the black was unrelated, it drew my attention. And so suddenly I noticed her bottom in a way I never would have noticed before. And
she highlighted it for you.
It highlighted it. So as much as people think, oh, black slimming and all this and doesn't really matter, it actually brought it into focus, and it made me go, actually, no, it's the whole really matters. So as much as I'd been taught that that didn't matter, I went, actually, I don't subscribe to that, because, you know, I've just had an experience
that taught me different.
That taught me different, where I noticed something that this person probably was thinking I'm really trying to hide. So it was that thing. So I don't think I've ever had any one little, you know, one big thing. It's always just been a series of little things that kind of come into my consciousness, and over time then develop a new idea or a new way of thinking.
Yes, and I love the fact that being awake and aware, we're open to all of these things, and we see them and we say, okay, I see why I had to see that. It shifted me to this new realization. Was there any obstacle? Because I see how proactive you are in recognizing that you're going to live and learn as you go. Any obstacles that happened on your journey that were, you know?
There's plenty of obstacles have come along, like the color, the issue with the thing. So I developed a new color system. You know, I got divorced. I was a single mother. You know, I've had all sorts of life experiences. I've had postnatal depression. You name it. Like, I've had all the stuff that people have. Right. You know, my life is by no means perfect. You know, I've had a pretty tough time of it in periods of my life. But for me, I think the thing is, if you're passionate about something, I don't let obstacles hold me back. You know, I can go around them, over them, around, you know, like, I'll find a way. And I think if you're letting obstacles hold you back, then maybe this is not the right thing. Or you haven't found your why. And I think one of the things to do is find what you're passionate about. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Because, you know, like for me, I work from home. It would be very easy to get caught up in, oh, I just need to go and do some washing or some dishes. Or it would be very easy to people go, oh, well, you're home, so therefore we can go out for lunch. Or I could go, you know, and do all these things and watch television and, you know. But in fact, you know, my kids see me, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll say I'm going to work, and I come up to my office and I'll work here till 6 o'clock at night, and then I'll, you know, go home. And so it's being self-directed is important, but it's because I'm really passionate and excited about what I'm doing.
Discipline too.
Yeah, and I've got some,
You love.
some self-discipline. So it is one of those things that it's very easy. And I see a lot of people where they'll just go, oh, I'm just starting out and I'll just spend an hour doing marketing or something. And it's like, well, if you want a full-time income, you have to work full-time at marketing yourself to get that income.
Right.
So when you're not actually seeing clients, you need to be doing things to help you be seen in the world, whether that's going to networking events. For me, it was starting a blog and doing educational marketing and various other things like that, and social media and all those sorts of things that you have to just keep doing every day. It's chipping away
Yes.
at all these things. And
I'm tireless.
over time you get that snowball, but you have to keep doing it. I think there's a lot of people have this expectation. Well, I've done my training and I've hung up my shingle and I might have even got a website, and where are my clients? And it's like, sadly, that doesn't happen. You have to work at it.
I know, I agree. Yes, I understand, because if we're going to be living our passion, we're living the work part to develop it also.
Yes, absolutely. So never stops.
Yes. And like you said, it was so important just to start. Pick a spot and start and say, okay, this is the beginning, and go from there. Being in the industry for this period of time, what does the industry look like to you compared to when maybe you started?
It's quite different from when I started. When I started, a lot of people used to say to me, oh, this is, only for celebrities, and I think now it's much more acceptable to have an image consultant, personal stylist, whatever you want to call us, for the regular person. It's not just celebrities anymore. And there's a big difference now where there's a lot more online activity that, of course, didn't exist back then, because just the way of technology has moved on. And I think that's going, more and more into the future. But really, you'll never be able to take away that personal touch. So as much as, I might do, online work or things in a different way than when I started out, still, you still have to get inside people's wardrobes. I still take people shopping. I'm still doing things with people in the same way that I have been doing forever. Just technology has changed some of the way about how people find us. Technology has changed, sometimes some of the ways we are able to do things. But in the end, I think it's still fairly similar. But I think the difference is we're so used to outsourcing many things, like people outsource, the first thing people used to probably outsource was their cleaning or maybe their lawn mowing or something. Now we've kind of got used to outsourcing. I've got a personal trainer and I've got a hairdresser and I've got a this and I've got a that and an image consultant. We're another kind of regular outsourced service industry.
That is a perfect example. I love the analogy.
Yeah.
The future, I think, for this industry right now, just from what I'm seeing, is that I have so much time that I need to work with. Yes, of course, face-to-face can never be replaced, but I'm also looking at the electronic part of this industry now.
Yeah.
Like we're doing videos now. I'm in New Brunswick, Canada, and if they don't have an online course, I really question what are they doing? Who wants to be driving the highways in the winter? Look at our meeting today. You're in Melbourne, Australia, and we're having a discussion about image consulting. It's so fabulous.
Yeah, I think technology is changing so much, and it's been great for me. And one of the things I find most interesting is that a lot of my most successful consultants are those who've done online training. And part of that, rather than the people who've sat in the classroom, and part of that is I actually think that you have to be more self-directed to do that. And to run a business for yourself, you have to be you have to be disciplined and self-directed. And, I started out with no online clients, and now I've got, people from all over the world that I have as clients who do my online programs. And, what I can do with them becomes more sophisticated as time goes on. As, it's like, I can have interactive quizzes, you can do this, you can do that. Like there's all sorts of things now that, used to cost a fortune to be able to get done. Yes. But now, like the videos, all these sorts of things have become cheaper and cheaper. And so more and more of us can use this sort of technology and harness its power. to find people outside of our local area, because that was very much, it used to be, I have clients in my local area. Now my clients are all over the world, you know.
Exactly. And I think too that being accessible electronically to the world is very important, because a lot of people don't want to travel, or they want this on their timeline. I think another thing about online training that I like a lot is I just finished the inaugural online training for professional makeup artists here in New Brunswick. And the part that I really liked about the online training was, because I work and full-time, and that I could do this, all the studying and preparation on my time and on my schedule. I also like online training because you can watch the training over and over again.
Yeah.
You
and
can
look,
really,
one of the other things I think too is also the communities it builds. So, you know, I've certainly found with my online programs just how, and even with my training with my students from all over the world, they all talk to each other. They've got their own little forums, they talk to each other, they share ideas. You know, I now have meetups, like when people go traveling, you know, people in my online programs will meet up with each other and they'll go shopping together and they'll have lunches. And it's like suddenly, you know, my friends may not be interested in my little area of, you know, hobby or interest. But what the world has now found is that you can find people who have the same interests as you, who think in a way like you do, through these online forums, and you can actually build a whole new network of people that you never would have come across just in your, you know, local environment. And I think that's been really fantastic.
And Facebook groups has also changed. There's changes about that. I'm just learning more about the Facebook groups and things like that, because yes, there is so much, we can all find our people now. It's so much easier, and that is just fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know, prior to this type of technology, you went to the library.
Yeah.
And you opened up the, you know, Britannica encyclopedia and you read the definition, you said, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, so things have really come a long way. I think that for someone, you know, to be successful in this field, and I'm looking at myself especially, I'm looking at making sure that I'm open and never saying no to anything. I'm already a do-it-yourselfer, so I'm always ready to go and figure it out. I'm ready to do the research. I've already been successful at many things in my life, so I already have the confidence to move forward and say, okay, so this is what this landscape looks like. I have, you know, a variable here, or I don't know about this yet, but I will before the end of this day.
Yeah.
And I think that the ability to know that you can move forward and figure it out, and there is something somewhere for you to find, and you'll get the answers. And we don't have to know everything, but we do need to know where to find it.
Yeah. I think, you know, that's the thing, is like being open to opportunities is really important if you want to become successful. Like, it's a bit like having a baby. You're never actually ready for it.
No, I had twins.
Yeah. You're never ready. Like, it doesn't matter what you are, like, you'll never feel ready. And so for me, like, when opportunities have come along, as long as it fits with my kind of grand plan of where I plan to go, sometimes things will come along and they might, but you've got to go, well, is that actually the direction I want to go or not? That's one decision you have to make. But after that, if you go, actually, it is something that I'd love to do, but of course I don't feel ready for it. It's like going, well, you'll never feel ready. So if you say no to opportunity, that's when you won't grow. That's that kind of lack of growth mindset. Versus, I think, if, like you go, well, you know, when I started doing things, I went, well, I don't know anything about these things, so I'll just go and do some research, and I'll find out about it, and I'll get better as I do it. And
I'll learn on the fly.
Learn on the fly. I think you've got to keep doing that. Otherwise, you know, you can stagnate really easily.
Yes. And I think too that type of mentality is something that we also need to share with our clients, because part of their growing into the greatness of them is learning to be a little more comfortable about learning on the fly.
Absolutely. And look, I wasn't born with style. So I think There's an awful lot of people who are image consultants and personal stylists who are the ones who come naturally to style, but they came to this industry because they were always getting asked for advice from people. Like people going, oh, you always look good. Can you take me shopping? You always look good. Can you help me in my wardrobe? Those sorts of things. I was not one of those people. I look back at photos and go, no idea. Terrible. For me, I've had to learn everything. And I think that's really great because I know you can. The people, because I'll hear people as go, oh, you've got to be born with style, like otherwise you've got no hope. And I have seen so many people who've really developed their style through learning, you know, the principles, how colors work, how styles work, how line works, all those sorts of things. And, you know, how I can relate things together, put things together. You know, there's lots of guidelines. I hate to call them rules, but there's lots of guidelines that you can learn. And then learn what works for you and even create your own set of guidelines. I think that's also really important to know that there's no one set of strict rules that everybody has to follow. It's about creating a set of guidelines that works for you in a way that makes you happy and feel authentic. I always think, you know, really, this is why I call my blog Inside Out Style, because it's all about finding who is the inner you and expressing that on the outside. It's not about imposing a set of rules or fashion trends on anybody. This is why people often say to me, why don't you share, you know, where you can buy stuff? Because I go, you know, my ideas are about the concepts. And you've got to adapt it for you. I'm not saying buy this particular item. I'm saying here is an idea, here's an understanding, here is a theory about why something works. This is a way you can do it. This is what you want to look for. But you'll be needing to look for the things that are in your colors, your styles, you know, fit your body, in your location, for your environment, you know, through the stores that you have access to. So it's not about buying this thing that I put online, and that's
and your price point also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all those things come into it. So
we don't want to build frustration or inaccessibility. We do want to make sure that there is somewhere for someone to find their look once we've worked with them in that. So I think that there are so many important points you've mentioned. I'm so grateful.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining me. And once again, congratulations on all the great work you do for the image industry and all the blog and the videos. They're so wonderful. And I'm grateful that you were chosen to be the Image Consultant Award winner this year. And I'm happy that you're doing so well and you're so successful.
Thanks. I mean, really, it's just take a baby step every day. That's all I've ever done. You know, when people say, what's the secret to your success? I go, keep on moving, keep on doing something. Take one little action every day, or even maybe 3 little actions, you'll get there faster.
That's so wonderful. Thank you again, Imogen, for joining me.
Thanks, Catherine.